Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge. The flag is out in the hallway.
Over there.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, agenda review.
I just have one other thing to add.
Can you speak up a little bit more, please?
Sure, I will do my best. It is backgroundchecks.org had an announcement for us last week.
Thank you. Okay, acceptance of the minutes of the April 2nd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any errors, corrections, omissions, changes? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, public input. This is the time when if you have any questions and you want to address the board, you can. There'll also be another opportunity at the end of the meeting to ask questions. And if not, we'll move on. Thank you. Ms. Coulter?
Abby couldn't be here tonight
Okay.
because she has a sports activity, so actually she did provide, responsible as always.
Yeah.
She did provide me with her report,
Excellent.
so I thought I would go over the report for her. I'll do my best to speak up. She has here that we are nearing the end of the school year and have lots of school activities going on to finish out the year. Spring sports are in full swing with senior nights coming up around the end of May. Prom is this Saturday the 12th with the promenade beginning at 5 p.m. in Cape Park, weather permitting. Student council elections for the following school year are coming up in a couple of weeks. AP tests for juniors and seniors begin this Wednesday and will be finished up by the end of next week. Wish us luck. The senior trip is May 26th, where we will be spending time at Faneuil Hall and watching a Red Sox game. There are a few previous happenings that Abby didn't have a chance to report on. Close up over April vacation, Kingswood Juniors, Charlie Arenello, Brett Conley, Brent Coop, Cam Patton, along with Mr. Myers, traveled to Washington, D.C. for the nationwide close-up trip. The students experienced government firsthand and got to spend some time speaking with New Hampshire Representative Carol Shea Porter. This last item is actually quite a sad item. Last Wednesday, our community faced the tragic loss of 6-year-old Ben Baldwin, a local first grader whose older sister, Alyssa, is a senior. And I can attest to what she's saying here, that the tragedy was a shock to the entire school and local community. In order to support the family with any cost during these tough times, donations were taken at the Friday night lacrosse game and the Saturday softball and baseball games. Donations are still being taken throughout this week in the school office. Last Friday, to honor Ben, everyone wore red to school and their lacrosse game. I would also like to add something to that, if I may. The Carpenter school staff were hit by this pretty hard, as was the whole school community, really, because you can see that it affected the students even at the high school. But I think particularly Carpenter staff, and I did have the opportunity to be in school in the morning, and I have to tell you that the staff members handled telling the children with strength and grace and kept themselves together so that they could be there for the children, even though it was very trying and emotional for them. There were counselors at the school to help with everything, but just hats off to the compassion and the strength of the school staff. So I think it's important to mention that. And of course, it's an ongoing process where we're, I think, still all in mourning to a degree. So, okay. So
Superintendent.
Okay. Under Superintendent's report, I'm really pleased to be here at the middle school. We haven't always had meetings every year at the middle school, and I think it's a really nice tradition that we have the opportunity to be here, and we will plan on being here at least once every year like we are in the other schools. So I'm really very happy to be here again. I know that Aaron has some exciting news for you, and I think it probably has something to do with item C here, what's so great about manufacturing, but I will let Aaron do the honors.
Good evening. Thank you for coming to the meeting here at the middle school. I want to thank you for coming to the middle school for your second year in a row for one of your meetings. It's nice to have you in our library, in our school, so we can show off some of the good things that we're doing here at the middle school. I have a little bit more to talk about after the kids do some things and show off for us. They're going to be sharing some work that they've completed this school year around the What's So Cool About Manufacturing contest. The What's So Cool About Manufacturing is something that the middle school here at Kingswood has been participating in for 4 years. There are somewhere around 100 middle schools or 100 schools in the state who participate in the What's So Cool About Manufacturing. The whole purpose of it is to get our students out into their communities so they can experience manufacturing, the manufacturing process firsthand, so they can see STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math in action. So it's not just something you do at your desk. It's not just something you read about in a textbook or listen to your teacher talk about, but it's something that you actually go out and do. And there are a lot of manufacturers here in the state of New Hampshire that have opened their doors to students from all over the state so they can get in there and get a peek at what it's really like to do STEM on a daily basis. And so I'm going to turn it over to the students so they can talk about the process that they went through. And this is a really good example of the sort of things that we want our students doing. They were essentially, again, presented with a problem and parameters, and then they had to apply their knowledge and their skills to this problem, and you'll see the result of their work here in just a few minutes. So I'll turn it over to the students.
My name is Rebecca Bureau, and I teach at the middle school. And I was really fortunate to take 10 students with me to Crystal Geyser. They were our partner this year. And we have always tried to partner with someone close to our district so that it would impact the district and be a good partnership. So this year, we placed 4th in the state. And they are going to tell you a little bit about the different steps that it takes to get to the end product. Because it's not just like taking your phone out and taking a little video. I know there's lots of apps out, but it's way more in depth than that. So I'm going to turn it over to Caleb, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the things we need to take with us.
So one of the things we had to take with us is the microphones. And in this, this is like a weird setup, but it's there's a microphone, a receiver, and a transmitter. And the receiver receives the audio from the transmitter, and which is, the transmitter has the mic in it. And this plugs into the camera, and the cameraman can hear it. And that's how that all works.
And Caleb did a great job with that because not everybody wants to be someone speaking in front of the camera, so he really took it upon himself to make sure they were all on the same channel, find out which ones worked, how far could they be from each other, and still have it be really a good quality. Then Jackson's going to talk about the interview process. How did we prepare for that? What kind of things did we do?
So in order to get good questions, we first had to brainstorm the questions, which were things about environmental consciousness and competition with, say, other companies, or maybe materials that they use for the bottles. So then we assigned the questions to people, and then we practiced. And we really got the skills down. And then we went off to the plant where we tested out our skills on Sean Fitzpatrick, who was very supportive in the occasion of any potential goof-ups.
And we were really excited because Crystal Geyser sent Sean all the way from California to come just to be with us for that day. So, and he spent lunch with us and other things. So Lou's going to talk about just kind of the excitement of actually being at the manufacturing plant.
So, during this project, our group went to the Crystal Geyser bottling plant in Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. And it was really cool to learn about the company's process and to get an up-close look at how they manufacture and fill their bottles. It was really impressive how they started a small tube of plastic and blew it into a mold to make it. And I realized that manufacturing is very important because everyday things that we don't think twice about, like water bottles, are manufactured here in New Hampshire. The staff there was really nice and gave us our own Crystal Geyser hats, sweatshirts, and bags. Their workers showed us how they used a machine to wrap plastic around their packages and even showed us their bottle filling process. The trip was a great experience and I learned a lot going there. And then this is just some pictures from
And as an adult teacher there, I knew they were excited because they had their own phones out taking video of the machines as they were running, because many of us have never been in that kind of environment before. And we looked really cute in our orange vests, hairnets, earplugs, etc. We had 5 videos that we completed. There are 2 people to a group because there were 10 of us. And then we, the staff, got together. We picked the best video to send in because we can only send in 1. So Bella and Juliet, they happened to have the video that we decided was the best and we sent in. And they're going to talk about that before we get to see their video.
Even though we were surprised at how much we learned from them. I know, speaking from my own experience, that I have no time to learn how to use these types of technology, and there's many instances where teamwork and cooperation aren't as stressed as much as this. Everything has to be exact, and if we, as partners, don't see eye to eye on everything, the video's never going to get done, never mind the fact that you have to be professional and quick when doing the interviews. I personally have wanted to get into filming, and this definitely helped me to learn what works and what doesn't work. One of the students who took this class this year actually took the knowledge and editing skills he learned to make a video, which was used to advertise his mom's rental property company online. I'm sure I can speak for the rest of the group when I say that we took a lot from this class and project, and I know that it will be an amazing teaching and learning experience for many students to come.
For our video, we chose to break the editing process down to simple steps. In order for the video to meet competition requirements, it must have full credit to sponsors, contain at least 2 interview questions, be less than 3 minutes long, and have all permission slips signed for appearances. We first got rid of unusable chunks of video or audio, narrowing down over 4 hours into 3 minutes of footage. Then we moved on to arranging and changing the order of clips so the video flowed better. Finally, we moved on to nitpicking, editing long pauses, adding transitions, and putting in credits. While sounding very simple, the process took months, and we faced many challenges: absences, crazy schedules, confusion, and mad dashes to find appearance permission slips. We succeeded despite these challenges through teamwork and dedication. In the end, we learned something both about editing and how water bottles are made. We thank our sponsors for the video and Crystal Geyser. We are very proud of the video we've created.
And if you turn around, you can watch our video. And this is all them. I can only offer suggestions.
No, go for it.
I can't help them choose what they're going to choose. I can say maybe you can think about this or that, but this is all their work. So.
What's so cool about manufacturing?
A bottle of Crystal Geyser is STEM, what STEM is, in a bottle. So there's science, technology, engineering, math, and manufacturing is what I'm saying. So it's kind of a cool way to say, it just looks like a bottle of water, but really all of what you'll see today is part of a STEM curriculum brought to you in something as simple as a bottle of water.
So, since you do bottle at the source, does that give you an advantage or a disadvantage against other companies?
We see this as an advantage.
Okay.
In fact, one of the things you see we say bottle at the source on all of our packaging. 3 things. Number 1, we think it's more environmentally friendly. You don't tanker it. You don't have any diesel trucks running up and down the highways.
Okay.
You're not putting chlorine in it. And we think it doesn't, it's faster and fresher when we can take it right from the mountain source and put it in a bottle for you and deliver it to you the next day. All of our packages are 100% recyclable.
If you call us later and say, this bottle tastes funny, we'll ask you to send us the bottle, because then we can track down the date of manufacturer and see what it is and just give you an analysis on that.
How do you make sure that your facilities and bottling processes are environmentally friendly?
Everything that we do, from protecting our source, and again, that's the most important thing to Crystal Geyser, is that our bottling source is always protected from no other intrusions. We don't want anybody to build a house or put another plant or even run cattle above our water source, because it impacts the taste of what you and I drink, and we want it to be safe and pure. So when you see that we've got it protected with an underground pipe that comes to our plant, and it really never touches the air until we put it in the bottle and give it to you, we want to make sure that that's safe. And all of what we do internally is make sure that we recycle as much as possible with as little impact on nature that surrounds this plant and our environment. So we're very conscious that we're a natural resource company.
On the tour, we saw labels and wraps. Can you tell us how the labeling process is a part of manufacturing?
Sure. One of the things to play on is the consistent color. You see that Crystal Geyser's colors are kind of red, white, and blue. Mm-hmm. So there's red always at the top and the bottom. We have a lot of blue in here, and we really think that snow is really kind of representative of the white. So we see that in most of our packaging. Is it magic? No, it's not. It's Crystal Geyser.
We were so excited. Sean was in contact with me for a couple of months. Couldn't wait to find out how we did, because we did share our video with him. He was excited that we won 4th place, but he thought that because the students came so prepared and really were very professional, and their video, they were so happy with the video, that they decided to donate $1,000 to our library as being our partner in this endeavor. And I think you're talking about that later. But they were fabulous. If you ever need a video. So that's it for us. So thank you for having us.
Nice job. Thank you very much.
And very much for coming tonight.
So, thank you, Rebecca. Sue, thanks for coming tonight. I know it's not quite past your bedtime yet, but you're getting there. Again, this is one example of some of the things that are going on at the middle school, all the schools across the district, where the kids are being asked, again, to blend their skills and their learning from various content areas into one project, into one problem that they're trying to solve. And so it's exciting when you see the kids work together and you see a project like this come together and you can see the finished product. It's really nice. It's exciting. You see that. If you look over there, well, Lou looks a little tired, but you'll see smiles on their faces. And they did this presentation for us last week over here in the lecture hall at the high school in front of all of their classmates. There are about 100 kids in the lecture hall and some staff members, and it was really exciting to see them presenting the same information to their peers and see how excited their peers were for them when they saw the product. So again, congratulations to the kids and great job. Thank you very much for coming tonight. You guys are students, of course, you're welcome to stay for the board meeting. There's lots of exciting things that are probably going to happen over the next hour and a half. That's probably a whole other video that would need some editing as well. But you, of course, are welcome to head out. Don't feel obligated to stay. You probably need to get home and get a warm cup of milk and get some sleep. So there was just one other thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight, and that goes back to the last time I was at a school board meeting and had an opportunity to sort of chat with everybody, and that's all the way back to the fall when I was down in New Durham. We talked about the NELMS assessment, and you, of course, approved us moving forward with the NELMS assessment and having the students do the surveys. And that was sort of one of the beginning steps to go through the process. And as we've gone through this school year, if you remember, we did those surveys with our students, our families, and our staff back in December. We were scheduled to have the site visit in January. It snowed or sleeted, or we had freezing rain, so we had to cancel. We rescheduled that site visit to March and we had a replay of the weather. We had another snow, freezing rain combo kind of a thing. So we rescheduled it a third time, and we were finally able to get the 5-member team from NELMS here in April. So they were here in the building just a few weeks ago. They spent 3 days in classrooms and advisories, interviewing students, teachers. They had a community coffee here after school one day. Some board members were able to make it. Some parents were able to make it. They asked a lot of questions and got to see and get exposed to a lot of different things here at the school. We are still waiting for the final report from them. I'm sure that when we do get that, Mrs. Hunt and I will probably be back to a future meeting to talk with you guys about that and share that with you. But I want to just take a couple of minutes to sort of talk back about what that process looked like, to let you know that it's not quite here yet. It's sort of like, waiting for something to arrive from Amazon maybe, but we're not tracking it yet. They haven't given us any shipping information. I wanted to also thank our steering committee. We had, because we scheduled and organized it in one quarter, scheduled it and organized it in another quarter, and then scheduled and organized it for a third quarter. We had to change the schedule each time. So our steering committee did a fair amount of work putting together schedules, taking them apart, putting them back together. And the third time we had the 15 minutes added to the school day too, so that was another little gotcha. So Kim Gallimberti, one of our science teachers in the middle school, served on the steering committee. Katie Small served on the steering committee. Ms. Hunt, myself, and Aaron Saxby was a parent representative for us who served on the steering committee. And so we had a whole series of meetings at school, getting things organized and ready, communicating with the folks from NELMS to make sure everything that they needed or wanted to have in place for their site visit would be ready for them. And so it took a fair amount of work and a fair amount of rescheduling, but we made it work, and we're eagerly anticipating the results so we can take a look at those and start talking about what we're going to be working on over the next few years here at the middle school. So I was hoping to have a little bit more to share, but that's what I have for you this evening. And since we got a little bit of a late start, you're probably all okay with that, is my guess. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron. And thank you, Carrie. It's nice to have you both here. The next agenda item actually is what's so great about manufacturing, because at the time this agenda was created, I didn't know that this was the student group that was going to be here tonight. So I really don't have anything else to tell you about the contest other than the students were competing with other schools in the state, and of course there are many, many middle schools in the state. I have to say they must have been competing with at least 100 other schools. So it's really an accomplishment, and I'm really proud of what they've done. So we can go right to the next agenda item, which is community education. We have Steve Geyer and Crystal Sawyer here tonight to talk about what's happening in our community education program.
Okay. Thanks for inviting me. Kathy thought it was time that we maybe went over the programs that I'm involved with on my part-time job, which I'm very happy to have. Keeps me connected with people and kids here. So I'm going to do as quickly as I can, and most of you who do know me know that'll be difficult for me to be quick, but I'll do my best. So basically, there are 3 programs that I'm involved with, and I just will kind of share a chronology on how that evolved. So many, many years ago in the dark ages when Sherwood Fleury recruited me to come to the Wentworth School District, one of his tasks for me was to not only to work at the tech center and build up the numbers there, but also take a look at our dropout program. What we had for dropout numbers were, he felt, way too large. So we took upon a year of study, and we ended up getting involved with a private contractor called Ombudsman Educational Services, and we established Lakeside Academy. And I think I'll spend the least amount of time on that because I think most of you are pretty familiar with it. Graduation is coming up here shortly. I would say it's pretty much been an unqualified success. I might be a bit biased, but I think it's just been a terrific thing for the district. The other thing we started at that point was a JAG program, which is Jobs for America's Graduates.
Where we've had actually 2 or 3 of our full-time employees now started in that program. Mark Montross, Grady Charlin, were all involved. Their first jobs were with the JAG program. Unfortunately, we're a victim of our own success. JAG is an in-school program, and it's funded out of labor and education monies in the state, and of course that it got limited, and they felt that our dropout rate was low enough now. We didn't need any more help, so we haven't been able to get that program back, and I doubt we will. But it was a big success and helped us early on. The other thing we looked at the time was I felt we were very much underserved in our adult ed program, in our program for students who wanted to go back to school, who had dropped out, for adults who wanted to go back to school, and also at the time what was called the GED, the General Equivalency Diploma, which was designated. You take a test, and if you passed it, you were designated as having the equivalent of a high school diploma. That's not called HiSET. I'll let Crystal talk a little bit more about that when I introduce her to come up and talk. But we started and established. I called and complained at the state because basically the program was being administered out of Tri-County, the Berlin area, and we weren't getting a lot of help for what I thought. For Kingswood students. So the administrator of the program out at Elsinster will write the grant yourself then. So we did, and we got the grant, so we established it, and we found after a couple of years of trying to find locations, we ended up putting it in Tamworth because it services the county. And we're the fiscal agent. I want to thank Mary for putting up with that, and the people in the office who have to all do all that extra work on writing these, helping us write these grants. Basically now I just sign them. Crystal does all the work, but it still is I think a great program, and she'll talk more about that. So that was the other bit of the dropout piece. A few years later, we had a very small program for the community, a continuing ed program, and you'll remember Jack Robertson. He at one point said to me he would like me to take that over as a part-time job, as an extra contract, and his idea was Jack and I had been meeting with the Taxpayers Association, and one of the things they asked Jack and I point blank was what is in it for us, for people who don't have kids in school. We're paying these taxes. What do we get out of it? And we hemmed and hawed a little bit, and gave him what we thought was a pretty good answer. But Jack afterwards said, they're right. We really need to expand community ed. So I got involved with that and started to work on that. So I have. I did those jobs as an extra part of the tech job. And by the way, I'll just digress quickly because I got so excited, Aaron and Gary, to see these kids. Bruce Farr's not here, but those first 3 should be in Scott Giesler's program. The next 3 should be in advanced manufacturing in the tech center. I'm sorry, I just got excited. And I'm involved in the Community College Board of Trustees, and that initiative that's going out was part of the governor's task force on manufacturing, because if you sit in that position, and it does relate kind of to what we're talking about tonight. If you sit in that position, manufacturing, where the people in the manufacturing fields are dying for people. They just can't get enough people, and we can't attract. I can't tell you how close we were to getting Amazon. Believe it or not, we were very close to getting Amazon in this area. It was simply because we don't have enough skilled workers. We just simply, that was what they told us anyway. So I just think that's tremendously exciting. It's great stuff, and that's. I always heard a speaker one time who I think really stuck when I had a son, going up through, and he said, "What is your kid prepared to do? What do they know and are prepared to do in life, when they graduate?" And I think that's a real consideration. So anyway, I digress. So we have these programs that we're involved with. We expanded them. So what I've given you in your handouts here is just a kind of a typical snapshot of some of the courses that we've offered. I've given you the fall of 2016 what we offered, just for an example, and the spring of 2018, which would be now. So the other page I've given you is I also gave you a Lakeside Academy graduation, just to kind of remind you, and hope you all can make it.
It's one of the great nights. I love Lakeside graduation. I love actually Carroll County graduation, which Crystal will talk about. So then I've also taken kind of given you a spreadsheet from 2016 through 2018 in terms of the numbers that we have. And we have a limited population, and this is a limited budget. Just for your understanding, the only budget part of continuing education is my very extensive salary, which is about $7,000 to do community education. That's the only expense to the district. Everything else it's on a tuition basis. So the courses don't run if we don't have enough people in it. And people have been very happy. We have a lot of positive feedback. I will share, and with all full disclosure, we had a teacher this year who was critical of the program, and he gave me some, I think, things to look at in terms of technology. He's a very skilled technological person, and his courses didn't have enough enrollment, so I think he was a bit disappointed. But I don't think that was necessarily his biggest concern. He just felt like we should be looking at some other things, which we have looked at, like online registration. We've looked at maybe doing credit card, but we've kind of stepped away from that after talking. By the way, I've surveyed both Exeter, Laconia, Dover, and Concord continuing ed, and they all have that. They all do that, but I will let you know that they all have a full-time administrator and a full-time assistant as part in their budget. So if you're willing to do that, well, let's go for it. But otherwise, and you have to find somebody else besides me at that point. But anyway, I think we've taken a look at some of his criticisms, and that's the only criticism we ever received. So I did take it to heart. I think he felt I'm a bit old school, which guilty as charged. I just share with you, I had a meeting with one of my alternative ed kids the other day, and it was kind of a, as we say in the business, a come to Jesus meeting. And because of his attendance, and I basically told him, what he needed to do. He's also a culinary student, and I've known him for a while, known the family. And one of the things he said to me afterwards was that, he thanked me for getting on him, but he said, I appreciate, Mr. Guy, that you're old school. And I said, well, I guess I am a little bit. And then he said, my stepdad's old school too. He still has a flip phone. So when he walked out the door, I went out to everybody and said, just constitute old school now? I said actually to him, I said, when I grew up, you actually picked a phone called Cora and said, call Ernie Brown. And after that, we had this rotary thing. He said, oh, yeah, I've seen those in museums. So I'm dating myself. So the final part of the program is, and I would just share with you, we've had 3 different directors of the Carroll County Education. I give props to Myra Peck, who was our first person who really got the program going, did a great job. We had Susan, who just left us last year. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then Crystal showed up, and she is doing an unbelievable job. I mean, she has taken this thing and just done a great job. And for me, it's tremendously exciting to see the list of kids and adults. A few years back, we had a 71-year-old man go back and get his high school diploma. He was so excited. And, it's just it's a great program, and to couple that with with the high-set tutoring and getting people to get to the equivalency of a high school diploma. We kind of take students through steps. I think I'm very proud of this district for the way we've done that, and we've gone to the Lakeside Academy. If they can't make it at Lakeside Academy, we suggest Carroll Academy. If they can't do the Carroll Academy, we suggest high-set, and we put them through. We take every possible opportunity to try to get people successfully to a high school diploma, which has always been my biggest goal and my biggest bias in my career was trying to get every single, it only happened once. I know Ernie will remember it because he kept telling me how excited he was. We had a 0 dropout rate, only 1 year, but it's pretty low, and we're pretty proud of the job we do for alternative education. So I'll turn it over to Crystal.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm, sorry.
Before you start, Steve, when I first got on the school board, the dropout rate was in the 10 to 12%. So it has come an awful lot of ways through your effort, and you've made it work.
Well, it wasn't me, but it's the support of the district and everybody.
like Crystal and like Sandy McMartin at Lakeside and the support we've got. And just as a side I didn't mention, I don't know if all of you are aware, but we do have a new facility, which is the old Wainwright building next to the superintendent's office, which is just a much better facility for us as students. It's just better lit, cleaner, nicer. And the other building served us well, but this has been great. And one of the things we were concerned about with transportation, and I have to say, Transportation Department and our central office said, no, don't worry about it, make the move. So, you know, it's everybody's effort, you know, it really is. Crystal?
Thanks, Steve. So I'm Crystal Sawyer. I'm the Director of Carroll County Adult Education, and we have a few different programs. We have the diploma, like Steve said. We have 26 diploma students and 21 walking this year. We have 34 high-set students, 15 are graduating. We also do an ESL program, which is English Second Language, and that's doing fantastic. We've doubled our numbers this year. Not only do we have an office in Tamworth, like Steve said, we have an office in North Conway, so we're able to get to the students in North Conway, Tamworth, so it covers Carroll County. We also do college and job transitions. So once they're done getting their high set or their diploma, we help them go through financial aid, resume writing, soft skills. We work with Judy Woodward at the Work Ready, New Hampshire. And we also do private grants, like Steve said. I was the only adult ed in the state of New Hampshire last year to get the adult literacy grant from Dollar General out of 900 nationwide, and we'll find out in 2 days if I get it again. So we also got a local grant from North Conway. The Kendall C. and Anna Ham Foundation gave us some money, so I was able to pay for all of my high-set examination fees and my diploma classes this year for my students. With doing that, my tuition had tripled this year because I was able to help them. And that's about it with us. I have partnered with a lot of different associations this year. I attend the Coalition of Public Health Roundtable meetings to get our name out there. I attend the Carroll County Regional Coordinator Council meetings to get out there, and the White Mountain Valley Job Developers Coalition. So I just want everybody to know what we do and how many people we help. And if you know anyone ages 16 and up that need their diploma or their high school equivalency, to come to us.
When's your graduation?
My graduation is June 4th at 6 p.m. at the First Congregational Church of Ossipee.
They have a family life center there, which is really
yes, in the family life center.
Good facility for it. Matter of fact, that's why we came to this meeting rather than your next meeting, because that's when the graduation is. So unfortunately, you won't be able to attend that one unless you want to cut this meeting. So that, I don't know if anybody has any questions or any comments. Just kind of wanted to give you kind of an update of the roles. And I will close, and I hope Kathy won't be upset with me when I say I had these extra jobs, and as you know, I had a board member that's a personal, well, many of you are personal friends of mine, but I had a board member who's a close friend, Don Meter, and then Jack Roberts and I go back to high school. We knew each other in high school. And so we kind of called the Three Musketeers, and we said we would all go out at the same time after the building was built. Well, those two kept the bargain. I did not. So I continued to go, and I was kind of like David Ortiz. You know, I threatened retirement many, many years in a row. And then I went to Kathy finally in March of that year when I retired, and I said, yeah, I've made the decision. And not because, it was a very tough decision for me, as many of you know. I loved my job. I still, when I come into the center, you know, it just feels like home. But I said to Kathy, yeah, I'm going to retire. And she looked at me, and I hope she won't mind if I share a private conversation. She said, I'm not prepared for that. and I said, well, I think you better get prepared. And she said, well, I thought you were still having fun. And I said, yes, I very much still am having fun. But, you know, you know, if you're lucky, you only get 75 trips around the sun. And, you know, I've got things I want to do and travel I want to do and so on. So then she said, and this is why I'm telling you the story, she said, why don't you keep your extra contracts that will keep you in touch with the district, that'll keep you involved with the students, that'll keep you, it may keep you young. I'm not sure that's working, but I just want to thank her for that, because I love doing it. I love the successes. You know, Crystal has got more energy than you can imagine what she's doing out there. And if you see her and her staff working with people who have reading difficulties, so they're so patient, it warms your heart. So I'm very, very happy with what's going on. I love it, and it's perfect because I can do it on a part-time basis. I can do a lot from home. So I want to thank Kathy personally. And whenever you're tired of what I'm doing and you don't like it, you know, I'd be happy to step aside. But thank you for all your support, and particularly, as I say, the central office and Mary, because it's extra work for some of these programs. You know, we don't have to do them. They're not required, but I think it serves our population well. So thank you.
Thank you. I would like to echo the importance of the programs, because it does give our students other options. And I think across the district we have an ethic of wanting to hold on to every single one of our kids, whether it's classroom teachers hate to see kids not in their classrooms. Principals hate to see kids that are not able to stay in their schools, and all of us hate to see kids not be successful and complete their time in the district. So it's, or their credential, not their time in the district. And so for us to have other options, to be able to think outside of the box, sometimes we put together work experiences with the HiSET program or one of the other programs to make sure that students get the best all-around experience that they can have, and that we can hold on to them until they get that credential or those skills that are really going to serve them well in the future. So, so I'm thrilled to have people like the two of you that are working on that behalf. And Steve, I know that many other centers have people that do this full time, and I think you do a great job with the limited time that you do have. So I do appreciate that, and I know you work more than what you're contracted for, so it's appreciated. So, and Crystal, you've just been an awesome addition.
Thank you.
So, thank you both for being here.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Our next item is the CTE survey. And our Career and Technical Education Center was approached by David Moore, who is working on a grant through the Department of Education. And the grant is to try to determine programs that are doing well with non-traditional students and programs that are not doing well. He's trying to ferret out what the reasons are. So he approached our CTE center because our center has some of the better statistics in terms of non-traditional students. Females in the precision manufacturing program is one example. And so as part of the grant program, you'll see that there is a survey here just asking students what their experience has been in the CTE Center. And I know on a couple of pages, we could not get the pages to print out with the full questions. So were you able to decipher that, or do you want me to read those cutoff parts?
If you read, if you take the bottom
Yeah,
of
just
the
hold-
prior page, you can,
Yeah,
you
you
can piece
can-
it
you
together.
can-
So are you all okay with that? Then you've all
Yeah.
had a chance to look. It's, like I said, it's just trying to get a look at the things that centers do well and the things that maybe they could do a little bit better. But it's our policy to make sure that the board approves all surveys.
So we need a motion for approval to move the survey forward.
So moved.
Second. They moved and seconded to move the survey forward. Any concerns, any questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week. This is the week, May 7th to the 11th. I think that some of you got the same surprise in your boxes and with your packet that the teachers did, and it's built on the I Love GWRSD theme that we had started last year. And we do certainly appreciate, and I think last week was a prime example of some of the things that teachers do and are responsible for that we really don't think about, but they're there, they do it, they take care of it. And I could give you multiple examples, but that's the most recent. So it's just a little tokens. We wish we could do more, but I hope that the teachers in the district do understand that they're very much appreciated, and they have a very supportive school board, and I think they know that. I think they know that you appreciate them. So.
Well, Teacher Appreciation Week for me is a time to say thank you to the staff that we have, and not just teachers, all the staff across the district, and I think we're very fortunate to have the staff that we have. So, again, thank you on behalf of the board.
Okay, and next item, field trip requests. We do not have a lot of field trip requests this board meeting.
One at a time. For
Yeah.
field trip requests.
Oh, absolutely. This one is from the VISTA team, and it's the spring trip. It's a culmination to the outdoor education program, and it is staffed by the teachers on the VISTA team and a number of volunteers. It's the regular composition of that class, and there are also several volunteers, and I would just point out that the volunteers have all had background checks. So, do you have any questions?
Make a motion to approve the Vista trip to the White Mountain Trails and AMC Hut.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the field trip for the VISTA team. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Great. And legislative information, I just have a couple of very quick items on that. As you know, I've been tracking Senate Bill 193. Last Wednesday, the full House voted interim study on SB 193 by a vote of 170 to 159. However, in spite of that vote, last Thursday, the Senate voted 14 to 10 to attach the original version, and as you may know, the original version was way back before many of the alterations were made. So how that's going to turn out is anybody's guess. It will be voted on next week. It's attached to a teacher preparation study. It's kind of an odd attachment because it's not really the main bill. It's now morphed into House Bill 1636, which seems like it is an entirely different thing. So we'll see how that goes.
I got an email from the School Board Association today about that too, and they feel that the bill that is attached to has a lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
So if that passes with the 193 attached to it, we don't know what that means.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate because I think the main focus is going to be on HB 1636,
Right.
and the other is just sort of attached on. Yeah. Yeah. So the other one that is an interesting one, and I don't know how much support it has, but I would love to see this one have lots of support, and it's HB 1415. It proposes to add $10 million to public school infrastructure, and that is for security projects. I'm not sure that it's a bipartisan bill, and bipartisan bills I think are always better. So I don't know what its chances are for survival, but we'll see. We can hope. And so that's it.
You would think it would get support.
Well, with the concerns that we all have about school safety right now, you would hope so. But I just don't know. I haven't heard much about what the possibilities are for that one. So, okay. And then School Boards Association.
Okay, School Board Association, we have a board meeting coming up on the 16th, which I will not be able to attend because we have a meeting here on the 16th. And that'll be our last meeting until the fall, so that's fine. On the 17th, I have a full-day meeting at the NHIAA. So that's a full-day meeting on Thursday the 17th, and that'll be interesting to see that'll be my second meeting at NHIAA and see what that's all about, because they said plan on a full day, so scheduled from 8:30 to 2:30, so yeah, should be good.
Okay. And then I got an email from backgroundchecks.org about Governor Wentworth. They did a rating of 106 school districts in New Hampshire, and they just wanted to notify us that we performed we were number 16 out of 106. And so I did a little more investigating to find out what the metrics were around that, and the rating was based on student performance, dropout rates, which we heard a little bit about tonight, school funding, and poverty. And how they did the metric, I don't know, but those were the 4 areas. So it's always nice to see somebody doing some research and having us come out in a good spot. The districts that came out in the top 5, I thought you might be interested in. The Bedford School District, Lebanon, Hollis Brookline, Oyster River, and Bow were in the top 5, which is fairly typical for those districts. The other thing that was interesting is they also did a national study, and as I've said in the past, in general, New Hampshire always performs somewhere in the top 4 in most any metric there is. And so New Hampshire performed, let's see, true to form, New Hampshire performed in the top group. All right, so in reading scores, in the NAEP reading scores, New Hampshire was number 1. In the NAEP math scores, number 2. And in college readiness, number 3. So, true to statistics we've heard in the past about New Hampshire does very well. So, just a little tidbit. And that's all I have under the superintendent's report.
Okay, under chairman's report, we have some correspondence, notes from the board. Expressions of sympathy were sent to Lisa Rogers, high school custodian superintendent, on the loss of her mother. Cheryl Wynn, Ossipee Central School Food Service, on the loss of her mother. And our former board member, Charlene Seibel, on the loss of her husband, Dick. So that was sad. Get well wishes to Brooke Rhines, middle school secretary, as she recovers from surgery. And congratulations wishes to Brittany McGuire, Tuftonboro Central School, on the birth of her son, and also Jennifer Thomas, Tuftonboro Central School, on the birth of her son. And that's all I have under chairman. Committee reports, academic affairs, Stacy?
We have a first reading of a couple policies tonight, and I might need your help a little bit, Heather, because it's been a little bit since we've reviewed these. The first one is policy IHCD, Advanced College Placement. It's really a strike and a rewrite. And Heather, this is where I need you to remind me on this one.
This just allows for families to be reimbursed for money that they pay for the students to enroll in dual enrollment and to get the college credit. So it's a great initiative.
And that, I think you had said, will be retroactive for this past school year. Yep, yes. So we'll have a first read tonight on that one. Field trips, IJOA, I know as a board there were a couple times over the course of the year where we questioned different things, what were the ratios, what's the guidelines, what are we approving? So we just reviewed it and just added a line, not to make it too detailed, but adding a line that the principal or his or her designee will approve all chaperones and ensure adequate supervision. So we're not saying what that supervision specifically needs to be, but we're aware that there needs to be adequate. And then for overnight trips, including both male and female students, there'll be a minimum of 1 chaperone of each gender. So again, a first read on that. Homework, long promised. Gosh, this goes back to, does it go back to the last school year when we surveyed? We started out with the survey of staff, which really the staff gave such, sometimes you survey people and, it's one more thing they've got to respond to, but the level of genuine response that went into that, allowed us to look at that. Very, very helpful, and really what's the purpose of homework? What are we trying to get out of that? So taking that input, a lot of discussions, our academic affairs committee kind of looking at it, sending it back to Heather, work on it some more. So we have come up with a new homework policy. This new one, the existing one is very prescriptive, it would reference things about 10 minutes times the grade level, and that's all gone. It's really, the basic of it is, homework's the constructive tool in teaching, learning process when geared to the needs and abilities of students. They should be purposeful assignments. It's not just homework for the sake of homework. Try not just to read any highlights. Teachers may assign homework as part of the curriculum, not must assign it. And it really should be an application or extension of a classroom experience and not assigned really strictly for rote or disciplinary purposes. So first read of that one tonight. And that's it. Those 3 first reads on that, and then we'll come back for June on approvals on all those. But any questions, reach out to Heather.
Before we do building and grounds, Ernie, I should have mentioned this during the chairman's report. Committee assignments. Everybody was great getting back to me on committee assignments, and we need to update the back of the form. That's fine. Academic affairs, Tim, Wendy, Kathy, and Stacy. Finance, Dr. Jim, Stacy, Bridget, and myself. Public relations, Kathy, Dr. Jim, and Julie Cardinal. Building and maintenance, Ernie, Julianne, and Tim. And human resources is going to be Bridget, Wendy, Ernie, and myself. And I think, Linda, do you still have that list?
Yeah, I thought I had updated it, so I must have grabbed an old one, but I saw you look, I looked. I'll fix it tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. And
Actually, before you update it, if we need to select tonight.
Yeah, if we have an option either at the end of the meeting, after, if the committees could meet really quick to decide who their group leader is going to be, that would be great, and then we can get that information to Linda, and she can update the form for our next meeting. Okay?
So it's a good thing you didn't update.
Yeah, because it would have been wrong anyway. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, now, back to committee reports. Ernie.
Building and Maintenance Committee, this summer, we will be doing some projects on roofs, and we're also going to be replacing those fuel pumps up in the Ospey Central School sometime this summer. And
we're getting a quote on that. We're not sure when it's going to happen.
Okay, well, I'm pushing for the summer.
Depends on the quote.
Yeah.
And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ronnie. Human resources, I'm still under that. Once we pick a chairperson, we've got a bunch of things to discuss, and it's going to be a busy year for us. So looking forward to that. And same thing for finance. We'll pick a group leader and then discuss as we move forward some preparations for early looking at budgets and all that to see where we're going to be. And Julianne is not here for public relations. Anybody have any updates? No. Okay. Okay. Closing activities, advanced planning. You can see all the items listed below. The different concerts coming up. Gold Scholar Lunch is on the 22nd. Again, all the concerts. Our next board meeting is June 4th with the retirement reception beginning at 4 o'clock. So that's the advanced planning. And public input. Silence. That's good. That's good. Okay, closing comments by board members. Let's start over here. Bridget. Well, yeah, that's okay.
I like the manufacturing and the fact that we got $1,000 this school from Crystal Geyser was great. And I want to thank the staff and the teachers for appreciating them. They're great.
I agree, and the kids were good, really just, they're so, just think back to that age, I did not have any of those skills. I mean, I wouldn't have those skills now, but just they amazed me. And then earlier this evening, Cheryl Kravitsky, the passion she brings to her position, and the professionalism of those students as well as the culinary students. I mean, that meal's usually the standout, and I mean, it still was, but the students really were the standouts tonight.
I concur.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
That's all right.
Yeah, thank you for having us with the middle school tonight. Mr. Brunson, thank you. Certainly you folks have already mentioned it, but the students were fantastic. It is great to get out in the schools to see what's going on. And Mr. Geyer, the passion that he's got in his programs, and he does jump around a little bit, but that's just Steve, and it's great just the way he is. And certainly thank you, teachers, for what you do every day.
Yep. I just want to say I really truly enjoyed watching, the 21st century learning going on in the technology center. Then once again having it here in the middle school really shows that we are trying to bring real world experience to the middle school, and then having it move with the kids over to the technology center. So shows the progression. And hey, Amazon and all those guys started in the garage. So just watching the kids really know that it is true. They're manufacturing high tech jobs are alive and doing well here in New Hampshire, and I think our kids are excited to see that. If we could get them to stay in New Hampshire, that's the big key. And want to thank the teachers and support staff wholeheartedly. We couldn't do without you guys.
Great.
Teacher Appreciation Week, right?
Absolutely.
Did you listen to all those students in all their presentations over dinner and then here tonight? They all stand up straight, they all talk, they talk very well. Obviously our teachers are doing an absolutely excellent job. Some incredible presentations earlier and this evening here. So for Aaron and Kelly, thank you. We'll keep coming back. We like it here. We like to see the programs you're doing. One other thing I would comment on, not everybody would probably noticed it, but look at all the artwork that's up on these walls. And if you go in the Lakes Region Technology Center on the right, there's a poster for every club they've got going there. Great big huge ones. It's beautiful. You got to stop and take a look to see them, but they're there and it looks very nice. And I really appreciate what the teachers doing because I think they're being very successful. Thank you.
Kelly.
I just want to say the same thing as everyone else. Everyone did a great job, the middle school kids and the technology students and the food students, and everybody did a great job.
Anything, Mary?
It's really good to be here. And it's always great to see the students, but it's always great to see how well they perform. And, I could never have done that. I have a hard time doing that now. So it was really fun to see everybody.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you to Carrie. I just echo what everyone else said. It's just always so great at our board meetings to see how all the work of everyone, no matter what our role is, all comes together when you see the students shining like we got to tonight. So it just reminds me, every month of how, what a great and supportive district we have and how lucky we are to all be working here together for the children. So, thank you. And I have something new.
Okay.
and something not so new. Thank you very much to the teachers. I have just such great admiration for what our teachers do in the classroom every day. And I think it's important that that gets stated because if it's not said, sometimes people don't realize that there's a great deal of admiration there. I also wanted to mention that tonight, with the presentation that the health occupations class did, Cheryl Kravitsky had an opportunity to hear her students thank her and tell her that they couldn't have done it without her. And unfortunately, teachers don't often have that opportunity to hear that. And I think it's important that teachers remember, the second grade teachers probably aren't going to see that, probably aren't going to hear that, but what we see in grade 12 and at graduation, that's a building block, starting sometimes in preschool and definitely in kindergarten. So though teachers may not hear it, when you see a 12th grade student, 11th, 10th grade student thanking a teacher, they're really thanking all of their teachers, because it's really a building block starting when students are very young. So I hope teachers will recognize that it's a coordinated effort. And then lastly, the tragedy last week, it's one of those situations where you can really tell what people are about when there's a tragedy. They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and you see the best and the worst in people. And I have to say, throughout the school community, and in particular the teachers that I saw on the job during this, it was just the best to watch the school community coming together. So once again, appreciation, thanks, and we've got an awesome teaching staff. So
Thank you.
that's all.
Thank you, Erin. Great to be here. Thank your teachers again. Like I said before, we really do appreciate everything that you do in the classroom, and very fortunate to be in a district with such dedicated staff, so we really appreciate that. I do have to say, when Steve was talking about his conversation with Jack Robertson and Don Meter about retiring at the same time, Jack and I had that same conversation, and Jack said, I'll tell you the year before I'm going to retire, so if you want to leave the board, you can leave the board then. He retired and I didn't, and I'm still here, and I guess I'm still not ready.
Thank goodness.
Not
Thank
quite,
goodness.
but,
I'm working very hard to keep all of you here.
But I kind of got a kick out of it, because Steve wasn't ready and I wasn't either, so that's a good thing, I guess. Okay, that's it. I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2, for legal, personal, and student matters.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Bridget?
Yes.
Stacy? Jim?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Wendy? Ernie? Ernie? Chair votes aye. We're in non-public. Thank you.
Okay.